Let's talk to Tom Mallon next. Tom is Managing Director at Resonate Testing. They are involved in, well, as you might imagine, testing parts of aircraft, particularly when it comes to flammability. Tom, welcome. Just as an overview, when it comes to the technology around keeping planes safe, keeping them as as unflammable. Is unflammable the correct word? As possible. How has the technology changed over the last 30 years?
Good afternoon. Yes, so the strange thing is that there is more sophisticated testing. It's combining, the worst case situations in a fire environment, but fundamentally, the actual testing has not changed significantly. So there was a significant change after a Manchester disaster, and at that point, then interiors came to a lot of scrutiny. New tests were introduced. Those tests have been carried forward. Similarly, with our unique selling point, which would be a power plant level fire, the standards were laid down some 30 or 40 years ago and really have not changed as far as their fundamentals. What you may see is that some of the scrutiny, some of the sophistication, or the level of due diligence that the airlines and the equipment suppliers, etc., will show. Now, that has gone up significantly. It's continually lessons learned, reapplied, harsher interpretations of the rules and regulations by which the industry defines the product.
Tell us a little bit about what you do at your company in Newry.
We set fire to stuff. So we have a regulator recognised fire test facility. We support the FAA and EASA, the European regulator, etc., for conducting fire tests. And our unique selling point would be the large fires that you may see on an aircraft engine where there's a much higher density of ignition sources or probable ignition, etc.
So what was your analysis of the images we saw of this Japan Airlines flight going up in flames?
I'm reluctant to comment. I mean, obviously it was a significant fire. It's testimony to the design, to the materials, to the design, to the whole operations that everybody got out safely. They are expected to get out within 90 seconds with half the doors operational, and that worked. That worked very,
sounds
very
like
well.
Such a small window of time, 90 seconds.
It works, and I think this is proven the textbook of why it's there. And so what we will do is, the fuselage will be tested, designated fire zones will be defined by the design process. They'll be validated by materials, by applications throughout the process. It's not simply one level of safety. It's a multi-layered approach to ensure, from design to installation to the materials, to their installation on the aircraft, and then ultimately the continued airworthiness of the aircraft. And I think in this instance, it's worked. It's worked very well.
Let's indulge ourselves for a moment. Hold on to your hats. Mickey is on the line from County Down. Mickey, you're very welcome to talk back. What happened?
Well, this story, Declan Harvey, I'm a first time.
Oh, I'm delighted, Mickey. Thanks for picking up the phone. You had a bit of a scare.
Yes, well, it was Halloween. Myself and my wife had a break last year to Carcassonne. So on our return journey, we left a beautifully sunny Carcassonne airport to travel to Dublin, where we were met with 54 miles an hour crosswinds. It was like, coming down in a biscuit tin, being shaken about, People were being sick, people were praying. There was a poor woman beside me who had 2 children and was travelling alone. She was in bits. So it was a pretty hairy kind of afternoon,
Has it altered your appetite for flying?
No, not at all.
It hasn't?
No, I think we've had a couple of close misses. We actually had to do a turnaround there and spend another hour. He went down to try and land, and he went back up for another hour, We also had, now talking about people taking their duty free, etc., this was quite a number of years ago on a flight back to Shannon Airport. There was a fire reported in the hold. and we were evacuated off the plane. But I personally remember shouting at people to leave their stuff behind. I think it was about the time was there a fire in Birmingham Airport or something like that. There was a terrible disaster at that stage. So yeah, lots of incidents, but I think the people in Japan there, the way that they reacted and got off was marvellous.
Remarkable. Mickey, thanks for your call. Glad you're safe. 03030 80 55 55. Tom from Resonate Testing again. Just on reports that we heard from Japan that it was the cabin crew that had to alert the pilots that there was a fire on the plane. Is that to be expected, or should pilots be aware of everything at every stage?
That's a really interesting question. It's a very difficult answer to give. So what the approach that we take from an engineering point of view is that we designate fire zones, and they're the most likely that a fire would occur. So they are not typically protected by having a fire detection and a fire extinguishing system. Okay. Now, there are regions on the aircraft that are not monitored because the likelihood under normal operating conditions is so low that there's not considered to be the risk of a fire being present.
Can I assume that they're the bits between the plane and the back door, for example, or between the front door and the wing, rather? The wing and the back door.
Yeah,
the front door and the wing,
there'll be potentially the pylon or potentially leading edge of the wing, etc., in areas like that. So, as I say, this multifaceted approach that is taken towards safety. This is very difficult because typically what we're dealing with is controlled fire or controllable fire. Obviously, when these aircraft impacted, and it's very early to make any determination, then obviously the normal boundaries, the firewalls, etc., may have been compromised. And in that instance, then you'll have to look at the details. The devil will be in the detail here to understand exactly. But, the observation of a fire, the clear communication, opening the doors on the correct side, all goes as testimony to say that the systems were in place that actually, and they worked. How it struck, which was a fuel tank punctured, what exactly happened, that'll be fascinating to understand what happened. But
we'll see.
I think we can all be just grateful that nobody got hurt on the actual commercial passenger aircraft.